Thanks a lot, everyone, for joining today. So, as you know or might not know, I'm not sure. I've been property entrepreneur on the property entrepreneur program we've done for 4 years. For those of you who came to see Adam yesterday, if not, you can watch the recording in your success base. He's the head of property entrepreneur, the head trainer as well. And without a doubt, going around the track, 4 years now, made me a very different person. So, and it's been great to be part of this high achiever community, following the blueprints that Dan put together and delivered by the team. Been really awesome. So yeah, I've asked Dan to come and do another bonus sessions for us about the blueprint, and also I believe this is the only opportunity, the one last opportunity of the year before next summer, to come and spend 3 days with the team, Adam and the guys, all together at the Belfry in August. So yeah, really happy for Dan to take some of his, one of his 2 hours of work, half of his work day, to come with us today to share these things. So yeah, I'll hand over to you. Thanks so much.
Lovely. It's great to speak for the Property Filter community again. One of the best communities that we partner with, without a doubt. It's very engaged. Lots of high performers in the room. People like genuinely looking to take things to the next level. And as Guillaume alluded, what we want to do in today's session is just try and get you to think about the next level. So you might just be starting your property journey. You might be using Property Filter for the first time. You might have actually started to really actively scale your portfolio rather than start it. But what we want to do here is really sort of stretch your thinking and take you to that next level. What we're going to share with you is an insight to the blueprint that we used. So I've built this over the last 21 years. I've been teaching it for over 11 years. This is coming to the end of our 11th year delivering it. And we've worked with clients and businesses like Guillaume's, like mine, to build market-leading, award-winning companies. And when you get to the point where you've understood how to make money and do property deals, we want to figure out, how do you actually get wealthy and become a high-performance, high net worth property entrepreneur? And this is what we're going to go through in today's masterclass. Guillaume, if you could just give me sharing rights on the screen, please. What I'm going to do is I'm going to take you through this, and there's really what you'll realize very quickly is there's only really 3 things that you need to know. And if you're in property and your number one objective isn't to create a 7-figure net wealth and a consistent 6-figure income, for those of you that were in earlier when Guillaume and I were just having a bit of a catch up, I've now had the fortunate opportunity to have my first child. And because I've built my business in a certain way, I'm doing, Guillaume said, have I gone back since paternity leave? And my plan was always not to go back, was to do paternity leave and then go back to doing like a couple of hours work a day. I enjoy work. I like doing deals, but also I'm just going to have a year or a couple of years off and just enjoy it. The only reason I can do things like that is because I have a genuine, strong net wealth and a consistent 7-figure income that comes in every year without too much of my energy and effort. And we want you to have the same. So this is what we're going to focus on today. And for any of you that haven't spoken for previously, you may need that confidence box ticking, just so you can get confidence that this actually works. I've used it myself to build over 40 different companies, to start them, scale them, buy them, sold them. I built a £10 million portfolio, which only had 18% bank gearing. And I sort of officially retired at the age of 35 when I sold my big national company. The only way I could do that was from using this blueprint. And the aim of the game, as some of you have already sort of alluded in the comments, is what we call life by design. And there's 3 things you want to focus on in life. One is your wealth, like becoming a genuine, wealthy individual. The second is your health. There's no point being the richest man or woman in the graveyard. And the third is life by design. I've had periods in my life where I worked 7 days a week and wanted to take over the world. I'm now going through a period in my life where I'd prefer to work 2 hours a day and mow the lawns, look after the chickens, and breed my fish. That it's just where I am, and I'm in that lifestyle part of my life at the minute. And I'm sure once I've had a couple of years off, I'll go again. Wherever you are, the main thing is that you understand what you want and you go and get it. And this might be a big income, it might be a small income, it might be taking over the world, or it might be just like me at the minute, having a young family and spending time with them. But the aim of the game is that we want to get you to a point where you've got a dream lifestyle, whatever that looks like for you. dream car, dream house. These are the things that I've achieved over the last few years. And we want you to go and get exactly the same. My portfolio of companies now that I built using this blueprint is under PPN UK. And we have an investment group, which we've run for over a decade, where we built armchair investments portfolios for high net worth individuals. We've done well over 100 sites with that business. We also have a charity, and this year we exceeded, we've now donated £670,000 to charitable causes around the world. I have a development company where I've built tens of millions of pounds of commercial, retail, residential, blocks of apartments, commercial offices. And then we have a training business. You know, I know how to do this stuff. I've done it myself. It's worked for me. I now spend my time training other people, similar to Guillaume and Property Filter team, how to go and do exactly the same. So that's pretty much what I do, and hope that ticks your box. And wherever you are on that journey, whether you want a small business or a massive business, this blueprint will absolutely work for you. I didn't start there. I started on the buildings when I was 15. I started my first company when I was 14, and I started my first entrance into property when I was 15 as a labourer. I did labouring, I did hod carrying, roofing, dry lining. And what I realised very quickly is I didn't want to be on the tools building the buildings. I wanted to be the developer at the boardroom, raising the money, finding the sites, and actually doing the development myself. And that's what I've done over the last couple of decades. What you'll realise is if you actually want to get wealthy, there's only really three things you need to know. And what I want to do going into the weekend is share these with you just to really start thinking on another wavelength, because there's loads of people out there who'll tell you how to get rich. There's loads of people out there trying to build big businesses, but the reality of what you want to achieve is very different to that. The three things that you need to master is, the first is the genuine understanding of the art of wealth creation. So I live in my dream house, which is in the background there, 10,000 square foot, 12-bed manor house estate, dream house, always wanted it. I have a Rolls Royce on the drive, a driver, people looking after the house. It's great. But the only way I was able to do that was to get actually wealthy. And there's a big difference between being rich and being wealthy. Rich is where you have high income and high outgoings. Being wealthy is when you have a strong asset base and lots of genuinely passive income. So the first is want to understand how to get wealthy. The second is, in order to get wealthy, you're going to need to do deals. And 95% of entrepreneurs in the UK and probably the world are running around building businesses and doing deals that don't actually make money. You need to find the needle in a haystack business like Property Filter or like Property Entrepreneur. They're needle in a haystack businesses. They're niche. They're crest of a wave. There's not many of them around. And if you can genuinely make 20, 30, 40% net profit, you will get wealthy by doing lucrative deals. And then the third is, you don't want to be a property landlord, or you don't even want to be a property investor who spends their time managing refurbs, talking to agents, talking to tenants, talking to trades. You want to be a property entrepreneur who runs a business. You want to work on it, not in it. You want to own it, not operate it. And you want to work on the portfolio and the business, not get caught up in it. And this is what we're going to take you through today. Who can tell me on the screen what this is? 10 points for the first person to get it. Guillaume's saying a burnt dessert. Penny's saying a baked Alaska. Very close. Just sort of like say what you see. It's baked Alaska. What else is happening to it? Penny reckons baked Alaska. That's the closest one. Guillaume, they obviously don't have these in France. Penny's saying flamed. Geet saying burning desire. We're so close. Let's put it all together. Trang saying meringue. So to give you a clue, this is the hardest dessert in the world. It actually exists. It's not a metaphor. It's basically a real dessert. It's the hardest dessert in the world to make. What's it called? Amazing. So Penny's got it. This is a flaming baked Alaska. And if you Google what is the hardest dessert in the world to create, it's a flaming baked Alaska. And the reason for that is it's frozen in the middle. It's got warm baked meringue on the outside, and then it's literally on fire on top. It's the hardest thing in the world to create. Now, if I said to you, I will give you £1 million now, if you can go into your kitchen and within the next 3 hours make me a flaming baked Alaska, the reality is probably even if you went on the internet, you wouldn't be able to produce something like that in a short space of time. The reason for that is it's very complicated. However, if you had a recipe of all the ingredients that are required, the steps that you need to do, and you had a trained chef who'd been baking flame and baked Alaskas for the last 20 years, the reality is within 90 minutes, you could walk in, make one, and walk out with something half decent that resembles this, because you got that missing part. This is what we call a blueprint. And basically, a blueprint is the way to do things. For everything you want to do in life, there's things you want to do: lose weight, give up smoking, do deals, make money, become a great partner, be a great parent. For every one way there is to do things correct, there's probably 99 ways to actually get it wrong. And what we're looking for is that recipe, that chef, that blueprint. And in the same way as making a baked Alaska, a business has a blueprint. And over the last 10 years, we've blueprinted everything that I've done on the companies I've bought, the companies I've sold, the companies I've invested in, and we now share those with people. If you're not already listening to the podcast, there's over 200 blueprints on there, completely free of charge. And if you listen to each one, it will walk you through all the different things you need to do in business. And for those of you that want to take this seriously, we host an annual 3-day event. So Property Entrepreneur is a 12-month program. It's a big investment. It's a year long. It starts at £15,000, goes up to £40,000 a year. We've been doing it for 11 years. It's the highest rated business in property training program. It's got a 100% money back guarantee. And at the end of today's session, I'm going to give you this is literally the last opportunity of the year to get one of your seats at the grand finale event, which is the last one we run for the year. So Property Entrepreneurs members only, but once a year we open our doors to the public, people like you who we know, like, and trust through Property Investors Network, through our community, through Property Filter. And this is your last opportunity to get a place at that 3-day event. So I'm going to share that with you at the end of this session. So first off, we're going to talk about getting wealthy. And what being wealthy means is very different to being rich. And I want you to think about the concept of when pandemic happened, I didn't have to worry a second about what would happen to my business, because I had assets, I had liquid cash, I had low bank debt, and I'm a very wealthy person. So I was quite bulletproof to it. And I was living on a narrowboat and my overheads was 750 quid a month. It was a very easy life to live. In the other hand of things, I've got a friend who's a very successful banker, and he earns over £800,000 a year. And he was ringing one of my friends up to borrow money in the pandemic. That's the difference between being wealthy and not having to worry, and being rich, where you've got high income and high outgoings. If you think about the two wealthiest people in the world, probably Jeff Bezos and Elon Musk, depending which way the world's going, the big thing that they did that made them wealthy is they built a very strong balance sheet. They created assets that had a high leverage. And if you remember, when you're thinking about making money every month and high income, high outgoings versus having a strong asset base, a high net wealth, a really strong balance sheet, a low bank gearing, both Tesla and Amazon both lost money every year for over a decade. But through that process, what they did, they weren't focused on making money every month. They were focused on acquiring assets and building a company and creating a really strong, in their case, shareholding in these businesses. Now, that is where wealth is created, playing the long game and rolling it up. The alternative, so this is what we want to do, build assets, not necessarily focus on making money and spending it. The alternative would be someone like Mike Tyson. Who knows how much Mike Tyson made in his professional career? Just drop it in the chat box. Any idea how much Mike Tyson made in his professional career? Mon's saying 150 million. Guillaume saying 300 million. Penny saying 32 million. So Mike Tyson actually made nearly $500 million in his professional career. So $500 million. And we all know what happened to him at the end is he actually went bankrupt. I'm sure most of us on this call could probably live the rest of our lives with $500 million in the bank. But the reality is, at the point he went bankrupt, his outgoings, houses, cars, overheads, tigers, were $300,000 a month. So it's no coincidence that he went bankrupt. He wasn't focused on building assets and a business and a portfolio. He was more focused on burning what he earned, made money, spent money, made money, spent money. And that's being rich as opposed to being wealthy. The thing to understand here is this is one of the most game-changing blueprints that we teach. And people that I know that have been very, very successful for decades hear this and understand it. And it's like one of those big sort of penny dropping moments. Is this blueprint's called the wealth hierarchy, and this is the 3 layers to actually get wealthy. The reality is most people would start at level 1 and they would actually stay there. So this is cash flow. This is where Mike Tyson was. He made money, he spent money. He made money, he spent money. Now the problem with cash flow money, which is like your salary, is it's hard work. You know, we all have to do it. We have to do our chores. We have to go to work. We have to talk to tenants. We have to have HMOs in our portfolio. We have these noisy things that pay the bills. You know, the money comes in every month without fail, but it normally has tenants and it has overheads and it has employees. It's just the nature of a noisy cash flow business. Now, lots of people scale those businesses up and get to a point where they're making £1 million a year in cash flow, but they end up with 100 employees, 8 offices. I've had a big national company. I can tell you the fun wears off pretty quickly. You don't want to stay there. What we want to do is get out of level 1 where Mike Tyson lived and move into level 2. And level 2 is once you've bought back your time and you're making enough money from your noisy business to pay the bills, you want to stop. And then what we do is start to increase our net wealth by doing profit activity at level 2. Now, profit is like an end of year bonus. The logic is that you get it at the end of the year and you buy a new house with it, you buy a new car with it, but you definitely wouldn't pay your mortgage, you wouldn't feed your kids with it. It's a lump of cash. It might not come, it definitely doesn't come in every month. It might be in 6 months or 12 months or 2 years. But when it comes in, it's a big lump of cash and it's 50K, 100K, 500K. It's a lump of cash that increases your net wealth and goes on your balance sheet. And this is where we start to get wealthy. And then what you want to do with that money is rather than reinvest it or like roll it back up in the portfolio or buy a bigger house or buy a bigger car, you want to use that capital and then buy assets at level 3. And this is the aim of the game. The only game in town is to go to work every day for as long as you're young enough, healthy enough, fit enough to go and do deals, to go and run your company, to get things going, because a day will come when you're not. The aim of the game is to work hard, make money, have large capital events, and then buy lots of boring assets, which is basically your pension, until the money that you're making from those boring assets replaces the money that you need every month from your cash flow. And at cash flow, you might be doing HMOs. At profit at level 2, you might be doing flips. And at asset at level 3, you're probably doing things like commercial, build to rent, single lets on leases, anything that's low risk, low return, low headache. And you literally, like some of my deals, which I'll share with you, you literally don't even think about it. And then you've got financial independence. Yeah, and this is the aim of the game, really. It's whatever level you want to play at, whether you just want to earn £30,000 a year and have a nice lifestyle where you don't have to work, or if you want to live in a big house, have a dream lifestyle, dream car. Every penny of everything that I've had has nothing to do with me going to work. And if one day when I wake up and I don't want to go to work or I can't go to work anymore, my lifestyle won't change, because every overhead I've got, my house, my mortgage, my car, my driver, it's all paid for from these assets. And what I'm going to show you now is, in order to go to this next level, what assets actually look like. And this really is about doing lucrative deals. And the reason you're part of the Property Filter community, and the reason that you spend time actually investing in your education, your strategies, going out there and actually finding deals, is because you want to make money. And you can run around like a lot of people do and do deals that don't make money. There's so many people that I see, normally before they join Property Entrepreneur, who are running around doing the next hot topic. So that might be HMOs, it might be service accommodation, but they're running around doing deals that don't make money. There's so many people that waste months or years of their life doing deals that ultimately are never gonna fly. So what we want to look at is, how do you actually do deals that work? And this is what we call a needle in a haystack. So Property Filter as a business is a needle in a haystack. Property Entrepreneur as a business is a needle in a haystack. Some of these deals that I'm going to show you are needle in a haystack. And what this means is, no, you can't just go and open another HMO on any road or do service accommodation in any city. Everybody else is doing that. Where you get high competition, you'll get low margins. What we want to find is, what we mean by needle in a haystack is an angle or a niche or a crest of a wave. And I was just talking this morning with one of my team. we're looking at going into some new spaces now that we've never done. And now we're starting to understand where they are. Nobody else is talking about them. That's where the money's really made. And what you want to do is find an angle. And I'm going to take you through some of the deals that I've done now and show you the angles as examples. So this one was, for those of you that want to do sort of below market value and you're doing small deals, the angle on this was it was a probate property. So as a probate property, they wanted a quick sale and the sellers weren't the owners. You know, the sellers basically inherited it. All they wanted was the money. They didn't really care what it was worth. They just wanted the cash. So this is worth 125 grand. I bought it for 56 and it was probably worth about 90 when I did. And now the rest is just capital growth because it was a probate property where they needed a quick sale. This one is what we would call an incorrect listing. So here's a little hack for you. You may or may not have a similar function on Property Filter. You probably do. What we have is when I'm using this strategy, what I'm looking for is properties that have been incorrectly listed. And what I do is on Rightmove, in my target area, I tend to invest in Nottinghamshire, even though I don't live there anymore. I think it's a sweet spot in the UK. I have an alert on Rightmove, and what it does is it's set up for all properties in Nottinghamshire. So what I then get is maybe twice a day I get an email from Rightmove, and what it shows me is new properties that have been listed and then existing properties that have been reduced. And it's like, you know, you probably spend time scrolling through news websites or scrolling through social media. I do the same with Rightmove emails. I just scroll through them and just see all the new stuff that's been listed, stuff that's been reduced. And one, it gives you a really good sort of tacit knowledge or sort of feeling about an area where you just sort of get the hang of like what stuff's priced at and what stock goes in what area. And I know Nottingham really well, and I've been doing that strategy for like maybe 10, 15 years. The second thing is when you're getting that sort of newsletter through every day from Rightmove, is you'll spot deals that have been listed incorrectly. And this one here, I was actually buying a new house at the time. This was about 6 years ago. I was looking for a 5-bed detached house in Nottingham. And when this came up and it said 5-bed detached house, I thought, well, first, it's not quite what I envisaged for like my next dream home. It's, you know, it's not the best looking of buildings for a 5-bed detached house, but also it's got 4 front doors. And I thought, well, that just something just not right there. And then as I probed into it and rang the agent, what they said, oh yeah, sorry about that. It's actually, and it had been reduced. It had been reduced to like offers in excess of 200K. And they said, it's not a 5-bed detached house. It's actually 4 apartments. We've listed it wrong. And when I turned up, the agent was there, the owner was there, the owner's wife was there. They rolled out the red carpet because nobody else had been to see them for like 6 weeks or however long they'd had it listed. Someone's finally interested, me, and the reason was it was listed wrong. They didn't know that, but you know, I knew that was why nobody else had been to see it. And needless to say, I mean, this is now worth £300,000. It was worth £250,000 when I bought it. I bought it for £185,000. So the angle there is that it was listed incorrectly. You know, nobody else would have spotted it as a deal. So then the sellers are quite motivated because they think there's a low demand. So it's a really great thing that scares the competition off. This one was understanding permitted development. And what I did here was I bought this off another developer. So the developer bought it at auction on bridging finance. They'd had 3 failed applications to turn it into a block of apartments. And they were just about to go into a penalty term on their bridge. And they basically had 28 days to sell the property before they were going to get repossessed. And they came to me and said, look, you know, we'll sell you at cash, probably, I think it was about 70 grand less than what they'd paid for it. And because they couldn't get planning through. Now, they couldn't get planning through because it's in the middle of a conservation area. It's smack bang in the middle of a town centre. And there was something else with it. I can't remember what it was. But I knew that I could use permitted development with this because at the time, this was B1 to C3 permitted development. So I converted this to 5 apartments, made them the most expensive apartments ever sold in Rugby City Centre. And we made £150,000 from a deal that wouldn't have worked ever as a full planning app because we understood how permitted development works. And that's so it can be a really, really powerful strategy. This one here was high density. So when the national space standards were announced nationally, each council had the opportunity to choose whether they would adopt it or not. And what we did is we went and looked around our area and looked at which councils chose not to adopt the national space standards. And we found Derby and Nottingham. And because they hadn't adopted the national space standards, we could actually go below them and get high density. This building here is 1,500 square foot. We got 6 studio apartments in it. Cost me about 350k to buy and develop. And I flipped it for 550k. So I made 200 grand on the flip, plus 2 grand a month for about the 18 months that I owned it, because I understood how to do high density, which meant I could make apartments smaller than anybody else in any other city by going underneath the minimum space standards. This one here is a care home. And again, this one was understanding planning applications. Nobody had ever had an application granted. This is in Nottingham city centre. This is Foxhall Road, for any of you that know Nottingham, in the Arboretum, really nice, big, grand houses in the old wealthy area. Nobody had ever had a planning application for more than 3 apartments. And we bought this building for a client. We bought it cash. We developed it into 10 studio and 1-bed apartments, because we knew again that we could use that high density strategy to get more apartments than people would have got with a full planning app, because they only would have got 3. We got 10, which meant we could buy cash, we could buy unconditionally, and it ended up being a fantastic deal. This one here is understanding when you're thinking about the agents you want to work with, also think about the councils you want to work with. We do lots of work with councils, planning departments, housing associations, homeless charities, funds. And one of the things that we realised early on is some councils are really hungry for development, and some really aren't. So, for example, Nottingham city centre, really not very easy to work with. Derby city centre, very, very easy. Nottingham's a very developed city. Derby is still a growing city. Nottingham have lots of rules and restrictions to stop you doing stuff. Derby pretty much let you get on with it. So this was a grade 2 listed building, and I put an infill development at the back, a wraparound at the back, and we turned it from a 7-bed house into 8 apartments in the main building and a 4-bed executive HMO on the top floor. We made £250,000 equity, and then we leased it out for 5 years to a service accommodation company, and they just run it as service accommodation. So they pay the bills, they pay the utilities, they pay the insurance, they pay the maintenance. It's just a really nice, when we think about those assets at the top level, really nice building, lots of equity. I don't actually have a mortgage on this, but you definitely could. And it brings in, 7 grand a month with no voids, no maintenance, no utility bills. These are those sort of assets you want at level 3. And the angle there was working with the council. This one was again permitted development. This was one called B1C, which is now what's called MAPD. So it used to be B1C, which is light industrial to resi. It's now called MAPD. And this was B1C to C3 residential, but it was also high density. So we put the PD and the high density together, and we got 14 apartments, over £300,000 in equity, and tens of thousands of pounds coming in rental income. This one here is about playing the market. So at Property Entrepreneur on Friday, so the election was on Thursday, and on Friday morning, I did an announcement to all of our property entrepreneurs to say, Labour Party's now obviously been elected at 5 o'clock this morning. Here's their manifesto. Here's what they're going to do. And here's how I think you should play the game. And I've been doing this for 20 years. And through recession, through pandemic, I've guided all of our property entrepreneurs on how to play the market. This one, I had a failed planning application on. And when lockdown happened, the council had to get all of the homeless people off the street. And you might remember it was called I think it was actually called Off the Street. And councils around the UK started renting hotels. And in Nottingham city centre, they rented the whole of the Britannia Hotel for like £80 a night to put all the homeless people in. And I thought, I've got an empty building that can house 28 people because you won't give me planning, and you're paying £80 a night to fill hotels up. That's criminal. So I said to Jen, who runs our development company, get the head of planning on the phone. And on a Friday afternoon, I spoke to the head of planning on about this site. And I said, look, if you give me planning for a 28-bed HMO, bearing in mind, this is in the Arboretum in Nottingham city centre. It's conservation. It's got Article 4. There's never been any HMO planning permission granted since 2011. Like, you would never get that normally. But because something had happened, and this happens all the time, now we've got a Labour government. Then we had a pandemic. In this case, we had getting the homeless people off the street. I said, if you give us planning for 28-bed HMO, I'll lease it back to you for 5 years and you can put the homeless people in it. Needless to say, 6 weeks later, we got the first ever planning application that had been granted since 2011 for a 28-bed HMO. I bought this for 440. I spent 40 on regulation to get it up to HMO standards, all in for £500,000. It's now worth over 1.1 million. So I made over £600,000 in equity. Again, I don't have a mortgage on this, but you definitely could do. Over £500,000 of equity, or 600 grand in equity, plus it's leased out for over £100,000 a year. You know, it's just these are those assets that you want. No bills, no voids, no maintenance, just from seeing the market and playing the game. Couple more to finish. This one is auction. So when you're thinking about what angles to find to do highly lucrative deals, there's only 2 times you want to buy at auction. One is before the auction, and the second is after the auction. In the auction, it's very rare you get a deal. Normally, you're fighting with the homes under the hammer crew. There's deal heat. I've been to loads of auctions, and I've never, ever, I don't think, bought anything in the room. That's where you want to sell, not where you want to buy. You want to buy before, and you want to buy after. This one was a before auction property. It was listed on a Sunday afternoon. I was literally just sitting on, you guys have got Property Filter now. I didn't have that back in the day. But I was just sitting there on a Sunday afternoon, flicking through the auction catalogues, flicking through Rightmove, and this came up. It's both, you can't see it all in that picture. There's a plant in the way, but it's 7,500 square foot. It's 3-story plus a basement level. It's both of those 2 buildings. It was a business centre, and I knew that I could do B1 to C3 permitted development, so I wouldn't need planning. I also knew I could do high density, so I could get 20 apartments in there. And it was listed at offers in excess of 255 grand. And I just thought that is just absolutely crazy. Obviously, it's a guide price, it's not the actual price. But on the Monday, I said to Jen, who runs my development company, ring the auction house up and do whatever you can to buy it before it goes in the auction. I can afford to pay up to 470 for it. Just do what you can to get it out of the room. She rang me back about 2 hours later, and she said offered them I think they was guided at 250. She said offered them 250. They won't take that, but they'll take 255 grand if you can be in the office and exchange contracts before lunchtime. And I was like, right, well, that sounds too good to be true. So I ran up, walked around the building to make sure it wasn't collapsing. And then I said to Jen, come pick me up. Went down there with my debit card. 3 hours later, I'd never been in there. I'd never surveyed it. I just knew it was too good to be true. And the reality, what happened was it was being sold by a pension fund who were valuing it on a yield basis based on the occupancy. The building only had like 3 tenants. It was nearly empty. It had about 18 grand a year coming in. It was just one of those needle in a haystack deals that something had gone wrong or something was motivated. And that cost me about £1 million to get around it, converting into 20 apartments. It's now worth over 1.8 million. I've rejected 2 offers at 1.8 million to sell it. So I made 800 grand in equity, and it's leased out for nearly £10,000 a month. And that's to a charity for 5 years, no voids, no maintenance, no anything. You know, this is what you want to do. This one's a private school. I won't go through all the details, but basically I bought it. It's worth 1.3 million. The only people who wanted to buy it were the Chinese and developers who wanted to knock it down. I agreed to buy it on the basis I would lease it back to the school for 10 years, and it brings in 10 grand a month. I bought it for 850 grand cash. It's worth 1.3 million. So it makes over 100 grand a year in income, and probably made me about 400k in equity, maybe 500k in equity. And then finally is this one. This is a smack bang in the middle of Hucknall, North Nottinghamshire town centre. It's that big office block around the back of McDonald's. It's next door to Tesco Extra, so it's smack bang in the town centre. McDonald's, Tesco's, 30,000 square foot. And again, this one was listed wrong. It was just a picture of a garage door, and it was listed on Estates Gazette, which you may or may not have heard of, or you may or may not use. I don't know if there's a feed for Property Filter on that. But it's an old school website with the old school commercial agents list, and sometimes it doesn't go on Rightmove. This didn't go on Rightmove. It was listed incorrectly. You can see on the right-hand side of your screen, there's a red car. Behind it, you'll see 2 garage doors. And it was that photo that was listed, offers in excess of £1 million for basically for a garage. And I just thought it was there for months. So I just ignored it. And then just bored one Sunday reading the detail, it said it's 30,000 square foot. And I thought, if it's actually 30,000 square foot, I couldn't build it for, again, I could knock it down and sell the bricks. It was the middle of lockdown. I was in I did a fair bit of lockdown in Tenerife. Didn't see it. One of our team went and had a look at it, took a little video, and I said, look, if you can get that for £1 million, I'll buy it without even seeing it. I'll buy it cash. I'll buy it unconditionally, because I just knew that the deal was just too good to be true. Anyway, needless to say, we ended up buying it for £936,000. Sorry, 960 grand. We spent about 50k refurbishing. Well, I was going to put 100 flats in it. I was going to build it up, but then interest rates spiked, and I just thought I didn't really want to go down that route. Plus, the planning application I did just took too long. I was a year and 120 grand into it on professional fees, and I just thought, let's try and rent it. And anyway, for building, we paid £1 million on it, all in for about 1.1 million. It's now rented out for 180. No, it's now rented out for £18,500 a month. I don't have any voids. I don't have any maintenance costs. I don't have any utility bills. The tenants are all on FRI leases, and I refinanced it at 1.8 million, no, 1.6 million, and got all my money back out. And it's probably worth about 1.8 million. So probably made between £500,000 and £700,000 equity. Plus, even after a mortgage now, it's kicking out over 10 grand a month. So these are the sort of deals you want to do. You can't find them all day, every day, but using the strategies that we teach and using software like Property Filter, you'll start to understand you don't need to go out and do 10, 20, 30 deals a year. You need to do 1 or 2 crazy lucrative deals, and it genuinely will give you, I mean, how many of those do you need to actually have financial independence, your genuine dream lifestyle, dream car, dream house, all of it completely for free? I've done it. Guillaume and our other clients have done it. And now it's up to you guys to actually do it. I'll just leave this on the screen for a minute. I see there's a few comments and questions coming in. I actually lost the previous thread, so Guillaume might have to tell me what the previous ones were. But if you're not already following me on Facebook, feel free to grab your phone now and type in Daniel Hill, Property Entrepreneur. If you're not already following me on Instagram, it's Property Entrepreneur _. And we release 2 posts every day with deal insights, free case studies, free blueprints. And if you're not already following us on either of those, feel free to jump on that now, and I'll do a couple of questions. What were the questions that I missed, Guillaume?
Yeah, so there was a question from Andrew who said, you describe Property Filter, Property Entrepreneur as niche businesses. So what do you mean by that? How is that different from, what you'd get with like Simon Zucchi or Rob Moore? So how is Property Entrepreneur education different from other property education, basically?
Yeah, so when we talk about niche, basically you want to, we call it owning your space, like know your niche and then own your space. There's no other software that I'm aware of that does what Property Filter does. There's other things for like land and commercial, so like Land Insight and Nimbus, whereas Property Filter is like a very niche. It's really the only tool that I'm aware of that does what it does effectively. And Property Entrepreneur is the same. When we got into property, what we realized is there's hundreds of businesses teaching people how to do deals, HMOs, service accommodation, development. Every year there's thousands of new clients being put through education programs to learn how to do deals. But once they've done the deal and they now have a portfolio with tenants, and maybe they're making 3 grand a month, 5 grand a month, 50 grand a month, nobody's actually teaching them how to systemize it, how to actually make money, how to recruit teams. So we basically look at all the other people, the people you mentioned, Simon Zucchi, Rob Moore. We look at them and think they're basically part of our, like, they're not competition, they're part of our funnel, because every year they're releasing more property investors to do deals. And once you learn how to make money in property, then we show you how to get wealthy, turning it into an actual business. And an actual business, property investors are people who run around all day, every day, running out of money, waiting for refinances to come in, talking to tenants, managing refurbs, getting disappointed, talking to trades, paying invoices. That's what a property investor's life is. A property entrepreneur is like, this is the last thing I've got to do till Tuesday. And it's the only thing I've done today. And then I'm going out to do the garden, I'm looking after my kid. It's like, I'm just a property entrepreneur, basically does stuff on a laptop. I've got sites that I've never seen. I've got businesses that I own that I've never been to. I've bought and sold companies with employees that I've never met. It's a very different way of doing business. And that's why we would say it's a needle in a haystack. It's very niche. We don't teach really how to do property. We teach how to do business in property. If that, hopefully that answers that question. I think that was that the only one I missed, or was there any other ones?
Yeah, that was the one. Yeah.
Fantastic. Cool. So hopefully you got that. And if
But
this,
actually, I had one which was a bit of a in a DM. So someone was asking me about when I said I was 4 years on property entrepreneur. What do I mean by that? Did I went 4 times on the 3 days? Actually, I went 3 times on the 3 days, I think. And last year, I took all the Property Filter senior team, and we had a bit of a day at the August date last year. I think we were like 7 of us last year, and I've been on the 12 months program for 4 years now. And you might find that's surprising, but I leave it to Dan to explain how come some people stay many years on it.
yeah, and this is what the third part is about building a business. It's a business is like, I suppose it's not hugely dissimilar to a child. I'm starting to learn lots. This is my first child, first time parent, learning lots. And when you learn how to be a parent, you get to the end of that year where at the minute she's a newborn. So it's like basically sleeping, feeding, changing, and it's just that. When I get in a year's time, I'm still a parent because I've still got a baby, but the baby's a year old. It's probably walking, it's probably talking. You constantly learn. It's the same job being a parent, but you're playing it at a completely different level for 10, 20, 30, 40 years, 50, for the rest of my life, probably. And it's the same as being an entrepreneur. When Guillaume started, he was an employee. And then the first time around the track was like, how does he get his personal life where it wants it to be? Health, getting focused on getting in shape, leaving his job, starting a build business, finding a niche, riding a wave. And then every year he's using, in theory, exactly the same blueprint, which is based on being a parent. It's like being an entrepreneur, but every year is at a completely different level. And the blueprints that we teach are the same that I teach people who are starting a business for the same time as businesses that I've owned for 20 years that are multi-million-pound national organizations. So that's why we've got clients who've been on the property entrepreneur for 8 years. It's only been going 11 years. Our longest standing client has been on for 10. So since right since the beginning. But like we say, you might spend 4 years working with us, or you might just do the 3 days, learn it, take it away, and then put it into practice. And lots of people do that. We have 3 events a year. Our first event, the VIP experience, sold out before we even went to market. It ended up being friends, family, and waiting list only. We've already actually started filling the VIP experience for next year, and we've got over a dozen people already signed up for 2025. The second event closed early. We were hoping to do a flash sale. It actually sold out before that. And then the final event is the grand finale. It's the last one of the year. It's the biggest one of the year. If you miss that, you won't have an opportunity till next year. And it's basically a taster. So in 3 days, you'll get the full 12-month blueprint, start to finish, and you'll leave with all of the resources, all of the blueprints. You'll have a stack of resources and slide deck to take away, and you'll have each of the 5 blueprints to take home, put on the wall that nobody else in the UK has. And that's what you need if you're serious about starting, systemizing, scaling, or maybe even selling a business. And this is the final step, really, is you need to learn how to build a business. So I was chatting to somebody yesterday, and they were saying, how is there so many entrepreneurs? There's so many people that are self-employed that should really be employed. Like lots of people go and start building businesses, and they find that they work for the worst boss in the world because they work twice as hard for half as much. They never really make any money. And we say, why don't they go back to being employees? Like lots of these people should actually just be employees. And the reality is because the UK economy is the way it is, and if you do anything half decent, you can survive. It's very easy just to survive in property and survive in business. You do not need to struggle to pay the bills. Like, or rather, if you struggle, you will always pay the bills. There's very few people in the UK sort of really financially struggling in that space. You do a half decent job, you're going to get paid, which is actually a bad thing because it means loads of people can be average. 95% of small businesses in the UK don't make any money. Like just bear that in mind. Think about what the responsibility is for being an entrepreneur, and imagine spending all year being stressed, having your house up to the bank, taking risks, dealing with employees, dealing with tenants, managing trades. only just to survive. That is criminal. The aim of the game is to actually put all of that energy and effort in. And we say that the hallmark of a property entrepreneur is, as a minimum, the money that you make from your business should pay you the salary that you would pay somebody else, or the salary you would get doing that job somewhere else. So as a chairman, it might be £250,000 a year. If you're running a letting agency, you might have to pay someone 50 to 100k a year to run it. Whatever that salary is, you should get paid that salary as standard. Monthly, comes into your bank account. I do. For every job I do, I get paid my salary. But then in addition to that, you should make the same amount of money in end of year profit as your salary. Because then for taking all the stress, you're making twice what you would as an employee. If you're only making the same amount of money for all that stress as you would as an employee, or worse, less, the entrepreneurs who take pride and say, I'm not even paying myself, what is the point of that? So we want you to build a genuine business that pays you the going rate salary and makes the same amount of profit in as a minimum every single tax year. 95% of entrepreneurs are out there spending their lives building businesses that don't make money. And I don't mean that, they're not making money because they're growing. Like Elon Musk, Jeff Bezos, probably Property Filter had that in the early days. That's just part of growing a business. I've had that. I've done that. That's not what I'm talking about. I'm talking about when you build a plane, there's a certain way to build a plane and it will fly. There's certain wings and engines and fuselage shapes that would never fly. 95% of businesses will never make money. Like, they just fundamentally are not built in a way that they make money. That what we're looking for is the 5% that actually do. And this is what you do. This is what we've taught for the last 11 years. This is what I've been developing for the last 2 decades. And this is what it looks like. So this is the 12-month blueprint that I've used to start, scale, buy and sell over 40 different companies. Online, we've trained over 30,000 investors how to use this blueprint. Through our events, we've trained thousands of people. And every year we have hundreds of members that have been on, like Guillaume, for 4 years, other people for 8 years. Our courses range from £15,000 a year up to £40,000 a year. And this is the blueprint they use. It's full 12 months. You'll learn it start to finish in the 3 days. But in the simplest of terms, this is how it works. So there's 3 layers to being a property entrepreneur. There's the landlord, where you are the business. You're doing the viewings. You're talking to the tenants. You're unblocking the toilets. The second is the investor, where you use systems and team members to actually build a company. It should be low overhead. It should be highly profitable. You work on it 20, 30 hours a week. It's just a great little lifestyle place to be. And then you've got the entrepreneur, the property entrepreneur, who has a 7-figure net wealth, a 6-figure income. They're living off the steam. They're opening their laptop to do something like this for a couple of hours. Then they're off working in the garden, or traveling the world, or sailing, or gardening, or breeding chickens, whatever you want to do. And it's just like, that's where we want to get all of you to. They own the business, don't operate it. They work on it, not in it. And what you realize in life is that there's a cycle to the natural world. So there's 4 seasons to the natural world, and it's the same in business. There's the autumn at the bottom, there's the winter, there's the spring and the summer. And we build our businesses in a 12-month cycle. If Usain Bolt was out running 100-meter sprints every day for 365 days of the year, not only would he not enjoy it and not be able to compete, it wouldn't be effective. You need to go through the seasons of the year in your business. And what we find is that there's only 5 problems. I've invested in hundreds of companies, including Property Filter, and having seen behind the scenes of them, there is no problem in the world that doesn't fall onto one of these 5 categories. There's only 5 problems you need to solve in your business. The first is a lack of clarity. So when Guillaume started Property Entrepreneur, he didn't know what business he was going to build. He didn't know what he wanted personally, professionally, in his business, for him, his team, his targets. He didn't have that clarity. And that's one of the problems that entrepreneurs face, is they don't know what strategy, what niche, what market, what targets. The second is, lots of people go out there and start doing deals, but they're running the business on spreadsheets. They've got a box full of receipts. There's no real processes. It's not really a business. If you don't have a blueprint, you don't actually have a business. And the second problem is businesses aren't systemized. The third is, whether it's capital to grow the business or it's cash flow to run the business, you will have at any one time a lack of finance at some point. And if that's a problem you're facing right now, we need to get you through that. Otherwise, you'll never get wealthy. The fourth is a lack of capacity. Now, there's two reasons why you'll need people in your business. One is expertise, and the second is time and bandwidth and capacity. Again, if you don't have team members, you don't have a business. And I'm not talking about paying people 50, 100, 200 grand a year to run the company. I'm talking about VAs, PAs, fixed price contracts, freelancers around the world. Really, really simple nowadays. And then, so if lack of capacity might be a problem you have, there's not enough hours in the day. Or the fourth is a lack of leads. In order to have a genuinely good business, you need to have an endless flow of leads, whether that's deals or investors or clients or customers or subscribers or members. You need an endless pipe of clients who are willing to pay premium price points, which deliver premium margins. Once you've overcome those 5 problems, then you can focus on getting wealthy. Until you've nailed those 5 things, this isn't gonna work for you. And this is what we take you through on the 3-day blueprint. And I guarantee you, having done this for 20 years, if you put this into place, I guarantee you, with my name, my reputation, and our money back guarantee, it will 100% work. In the same way as the flaming baked Alaska at the beginning, if you take the right recipe, the right blueprint, listen to our coaches, our mentors, and actually put it into place, I guarantee you will get financial independence. You will have the dream car, the dream lifestyle, whatever you want for free, 100% guaranteed. Now, you're probably sitting there thinking that you can't do this. It's okay for me. I've been doing it for 20 years, blah, 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 blah. Hundreds of people have used this blueprint before you and put it into practice. Every single one of our mentors that will teach you on the 3-day program was sitting where you are now, 2 years ago, 3 years ago, 5 years ago. They took the blueprint, they put it into practice, and they got a 7-figure net wealth, a 6-figure income. And now, because they've proven not only does it work, but it works for them, they're now going to show you how to do the same. So it's not even me teaching you. It's people who are where you are, who've already done what you want, and they're going to show you how they did it, how you can do the same. So the last event of the year is in August. It's 3 days. It's at the Belfry Golf and Spa Resort. It's a 5-star resort. It includes 3-course dining. It's got 100% money back guarantee. And what you're going to get is all 50 of the blueprints. I took you through one today, the wealth hierarchy. If you think that was of value, imagine what it's like over 3 days to get 50 of them, networking with some of the UK's market leaders and award winners, start to finish at a world-class resort, 3 days out the business, working on it, not in it, being inspired, being educated, and actually putting this stuff into practice, 100% tax deductible. So the last event date is the 5th to the 7th of August. After that, we will close our doors for another year, and you won't be able to attend till next June or July. So 5th to the 7th of August at the Belfry Golf and Spa Resort in Birmingham. When you go online in a moment to secure your spot, you'll see there's 2 options. One is in person, 3 days, 5-star accommodation. One is virtual. You have a virtual host. There's a full HD camera crew and production team. You have a virtual host to host you at the event online. So if you're out of the country or you're not available, you can tune in virtually. And on day 1, as is 3 days at the resort, or tuning in live through our virtual program, day 1 is all about strategy. So if you're sitting there thinking, I want to build the next property filter, I want to be the next property entrepreneur, I want to go and do just one of those deals that Dan's just talked about, the whole first day is figuring out where you are, where you want to get to, and how you get there. And by the end of the first day, you will know what strategy to do, where to look, what you want to do with your life and your business. The whole first day is on overcoming that first problem. The second day is showing you how to actually build a business, using those systems and those team, how to actually build a business you can work on rather than in. And then the third is about finance and marketing. If you're sitting there thinking, I don't have enough capital or I'm not making enough profit, we will show you the blueprint you need to use to have an endless supply of capital and have a highly profitable business. And then second is the marketing. If you're sitting there thinking, I don't have enough deals, I don't have enough investors, I'm not making enough money, You put these blueprints into place on day 3, and that will give you everything that you need. We guarantee this. Like, we've been doing this for over a decade. You can search me on every platform, every forum. Touch wood, as far as I'm aware, you will not find a negative review, because I guarantee you, with my name, my reputation, and our 100% money back guarantee, if you use this blueprint and put it into practice, it will absolutely work. It's worked for me, it worked for Guillaume, it's worked for hundreds of property entrepreneurs before you. Now it's time for you to actually learn it. So 5th to the 7th of August, come and join us at the last event of the year. This is the last masterclass we're doing ever for anybody this year. So it literally is the last chance. But because you're a Property Filter member, we're going to make this an absolute no-brainer for you. Literally, if you're even remotely sitting there thinking, do you know what, I'm a bit interested, I'd love to see what it's like, or just I'd like to have 3 days out of the business at a world-class resort, this is just an absolute no-brainer for you. And we actually lose money on these Property Filter places. And we've never done this for anybody other than Guillaume and the Property Filter members and Simon Zucci's PIN and his mastermind members. They're the only people who get this offer. And this is the last time that we're offering it this year. So first, it's £5,000 for one place. And if you go online now, you will see that that is what people pay on the open market. These aren't made up prices. There's people who physically paid £5,000 to attend this event. We're going to give you a second place, second seat, second lot of all expenses paid, 3-course dining at the event, at the resort, with the training, completely free of charge. So you can bring your business partner, a life partner, anyone you want. We're also going to give you private dining. So as a Property Filter member, you're going to get the VIP treatment of having lunch with one of our, either it'll be a lunch or a dinner, with one of our coaches or mentors at the event. So you can ask your actual questions to the speakers, what deals to do, what do you do with your business, where you are in the UK, and they'll be able to help you with that. We're also going to put you in a VIP WhatsApp group. So for 2 weeks before the event and 2 weeks after the event, you will meet your peers, you will meet our coaches, and you will be encouraged to do deals, raise investment, do business together. Very high value opportunity to do business. If you liked those deals that I shared with you earlier, we did an online one-off training, which was £500 for 3 hours. And what I did was I showed people behind the scenes how I did those deals, how I sourced them, how I financed them, how the numbers stacked up. As a Property Filter member, for signing up today, you will get the recording of that training that we did to see exactly how I made over £10 million in my portfolio using these very niche strategies that nobody else will teach you. After the event, I will personally give you a 20-minute private mentoring debrief. So once you've done the 3-day event, you understand the blueprint, I will go on a Zoom call with you for 20 minutes to answer your one biggest question. Look at one of your deals, look at your business, help you fix it. The only people who normally get that mentoring pay £40,000 a year. You physically couldn't buy it online, but if you could, and I wouldn't even sell it, it would be worth well over £1,000 for 20 minutes of my time. And the total value of all of that is over £12,000. But this is where the no-brainer comes in. As a Property Filter member, you can secure your place now for £1,500 plus VAT, plus you get 100% money back guarantee. So if you get to the second place, second day of the 3-day event, and you didn't already get a 10 times return on the investment you've made in your time and money, we'll shake hands, take the blueprint back, and you will get 100% refund. Because of my time to offer these mentoring calls, unfortunately, there's only 4 slots left. This is the last masterclass of the year. You won't be able to buy this anywhere else. Go to www.don'ttalktotenants.co.uk now and use the discount code at the top of your screen, PF/VIP, and you, your partner, a friend, a business partner can do the 3-day blueprint together for only £1,500 plus VAT. That doesn't even cover our costs. You couldn't even stay at the Belfry for that. And on top of that, you're getting deals training, 2 weeks in a private, 4 weeks in a private WhatsApp group, private dinner with our coaches and mentors, a 20-minute debrief with me afterwards to solve your biggest problem. And you got 100% money back guarantee. So you have physically nothing to lose. There is only 4 places though, so best of luck. The first 4, congratulations, you'll get that. Afterwards, if it says sold out, you can still buy a place at the grand finale. You just can't use this discount code because those 4 places will have gone. So best of luck to the first 4 who get those. and look forward to meeting some of you on Property Entrepreneur in the future.
Dan, thanks so much. Thanks so much for, the generosity again for the, the Property Filter community. I know you never give your time away, so this is like extra, super generous of you, and also the super deal. I did pay my full $4,000 4 years ago.
Sorry
For
about
it, so
that.
I feel a bit gutted looking at this now, but I got so much value from it. It's I'll pay it every day again. So one thing I wanted to ask you on the I seem to remember when we did this, even when we redid it last year, Adam did a session around like the economy and the Euro update and things like that. Are you doing the ones you did at the or something similar to the ones you did at the Property Entrepreneur Advanced, or on the what happened after the election and something like that? Is there a segment about that at the blueprint?
Do you know what? That is a very good point. Adam hasn't shared that with me, but we probably will do. Although we only normally share that with members. Yeah, absolutely. I think what we'll do is we'll share up my inside, because we're not launching our new model until October, but there's some very clear things that I've told our property entrepreneurs to do that I'm already doing based on Labour government coming in. So that is a fantastic question, and I'm actually going to make a note of that.
Yeah. Yeah, it was a really good session. So, I mean, if only people come for that to like see what to do next, with this the new government, because a lot of property people are quite fearful of what's happening, wondering what to do, what not to do, and rather to do anything. And I know we went out of the session last week where it's like it's very clear people have got deals to do. This is summer of deals all over again. And yeah, where the snakes are the ladders. So thanks so much. Really appreciate your time coming and share all this wisdom and cool stuff with us. And again, really super grateful for your generosity sharing this. I paid more than twice for that myself. So when I started, and I would pay 10 times again. So yeah, thanks a lot.
Yeah, it's a pleasure to be here. Have a fantastic weekend, everybody. And yeah, welcome to Property Entrepreneur, to those of you that get your blueprint space. Congratulations.
Thanks so much, Dan. Thank you, everyone.
Take care,
Thank you.
guys.
Have a great one. Bye bye.